All right, I'm Hasten with Untold Stories, and I am here with
Corey.
Nice to meet you, Corey.
Hasten.
Hasten.
Always
yes.
a pleasure. Story I got to share for you, Hasten, is the story of my grandmother. Now, she's not my blood grandmother. My grandfather got remarried right before I was born. However, her story is, and I'll share it here today, is basically when she was 19 years old, she defected from Czechoslovakia when she was 19, like I said, while it was under the Iron Curtain in Soviet Russia. So
for some listeners, so that we can dive a little bit,
of course,
explain a little bit about the history of what was going on in Russia at the time.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. So basically, you had Russia, and then you had the Soviet Union. Mm-hmm. So not only did you have Russia, but then you had the satellite countries that were all surrounding it. Don't know all the names of them, but basically one of them.
Syllables.
Yeah, exactly. So one of them was Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
However, if you ever talk to my grandmother nowadays, she'll be like, there was no Czechoslovakia. It was Slovakia, and there was the Czech Republic. They were, in her mind, they were never one country. There were always two.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
It's a very important distinction in her mind.
Yeah.
But famously, Czech Republic has Prague. Prague's a beautiful city. Not to mention some of the greatest beer in Europe, before I'm told. Also a good thing for you there. So that's a little bit of the history. And then at the time, not until about 1992, I want to say, maybe 90. Yeah. That's when the Iron Curtain fell and the Berlin Wall fell and all that stuff. And Soviet Union no longer was Soviet Union.
This guy knows his stuff. I mean, if you're related to, a grandmother of descent, you should probably. I'm sure that she's talked about it to you a couple 100 times.
No, she only talked about it to me like twice. But the funny part is, like, she grew up basically under the strictest communism you can ever think of. Soviet Union communism. To this day, and I mean, when she shared the story with me, I was maybe like 18, now I'm 34, but basically she was like nervous to tell me about this story because she was like, they might still get me. And I'm like, Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore. And she's still like, I won't give you names. She was worried about giving me location. Basically, how the story goes is when she was 19, she was the equipment manager for the women's national volleyball team from the Czechoslovakia.
Oh, okay.
But leading up, and they were doing a tournament, in Salzburg, Austria, which was on the other side of that. Now, they had handlers, they had people who basically were like, we keep an eye on you the whole time. So, but leading up to that, she had worked in a documents office, and she had gotten fake passports, fake paperwork, all that stuff to and then paid somebody, she wouldn't tell me the name or anything else really for that matter, but she actually paid somebody to then, once she got to Salzburg, she slipped away from their handlers. She hid out in a hotel room for like 7 days, paid a guy to hide her, basically. And then from there, she then slipped over into West Germany, that wasn't under communism rule, and the Soviets. And then basically that's how she did. So she had to forge all these documents and papers and defected from Czechoslovakia that was under the Soviet Union to go to West Germany. Lived there for a few years. Details are a little vague on that one. And then eventually immigrated to the United States. The last end of that is, even until after the Iron Curtain fell, and we're talking like 80s, 70s maybe when she did this, after the Iron Curtain fell in the 90s, she didn't talk or send letters or call her family because she was worried they would come get her.
Really?
Yeah, that they would actually send agents to come grab her and bring her back. Yeah, it's a crazy story like that. Eventually in the 2000s, I want to say somewhere around 2010 or whatever, they did a whole, her and my grandfather went back, went to Germany, went to Austria, went to Czech Republic.
Yeah.
Got to actually see family that was still over there and stuff like that. But for the longest time, she did not contact them because she was worried they would track her in the United States and bring her back to the Soviet Union.
That's like some North Korean type of
that's history. When we try to remember it, and we try to, these little individual stories are probably the best that you can probably get on that.
Oh yeah.
And now the last part of this story is basically every Thanksgiving or Christmas we ever had with her, or anytime we ever went to dinner, she would not eat potatoes and she would not eat rice. because when she was growing up, under the Iron Curtain, that's all they ever ate. And she would also, the last thing she would do is, if you had the smallest of leftovers when you were eating out, she would get it wrapped. If you were like, I have 2 bites of this chicken left, she's like, we'll put it in a box and bring it home. She just always had that mentality of like, you never know when food's gonna run out. Like, that's because that's how she grew up. And
I mean, she's still in the times, and I mean, honestly, we should all kind of live that way a little bit.
Exactly.
More, but yeah.
My grandma Vlasta.
Yeah. Grandma Vlasta. Well, you heard it here, folks, with Untold Stories. Again, I'm Hasten, and I'm joined with
Corey.
and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir.